The quiet after the wedding was almost poetic. Seoul glowed under the dim evening lights. And the Shilla Hotel, where their vows had been whispered before only a few dozen loved ones, still carried the warmth of that day. The scent of lilies and soft piano melodies lingered in the memory of guests who had watched Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah clasp hands, eyes shimmering like they had survived a lifetime just to reach that single moment. 2 weeks later, tranquility shattered. The headlines that morning spread like wildfire across every Korean portal. Shocking confession, Kim Woo-bin and Shin Min-ah reveal baby plans just 2 weeks after wedding. Reporters swarmed outside their Hanam-dong home. Fans flooded social media with disbelief. Every entertainment outlet replayed the same clip, Shin Min-ah's trembling voice, her eyes glistening with emotion during her first interview as a newlywed. She sat under the soft lights of TVN's Heart to Heart, wearing a simple white dress, her fingers intertwined in her lap. The host asked the usual questions, about marriage, honeymoon, future projects, until the conversation took a turn that no one expected. Shin Min-ah paused, exhaled softly, and said, "Woo-bin and I have always dreamed of becoming parents. But because of his past health, we had to make a difficult decision. It's something we wanted to share. Not to shock people, but to tell the truth about our journey." Her words dropped into the studio like a stone sinking into still water. The air went still. Even the host's usual bright tone dimmed. Then, from the corner of the screen, the camera captured Woo-bin, sitting quietly in the audience that night, eyes soft, expression unreadable. He smiled faintly when her voice trembled. That single image, his hand pressed against his heart, her eyes searching for him, traveled across millions of screens within hours. For the public, it was a shocking revelation. But for those who had followed his story, the truth behind those words carried far deeper meaning. Kim Woo-bin, once one of Korea's brightest stars, vanished from the spotlight in 2017 after being diagnosed with nasopharyngeal cancer. The disease forced him to step away from acting for nearly 2 years. His body weakened, his spirit tested. Shin Min-ah, already a top actress in her own right, withdrew from most public appearances to be by his side. The two were rarely seen, except for fleeting photographs outside Seoul National University Hospital, where he received treatment. Back then, the tabloids speculated, was their relationship strong enough to endure the weight of sickness? Would she stay? She did. Every day. Witnesses would later recall seeing her in the hospital cafeteria, holding a tray with soup, quietly waiting while he went through another round of therapy. There were no cameras, no words. Just two people fighting through the silence together. Years later, when Woo-bin returned to the screen, he carried that quiet resilience with him. He looked stronger, more grounded, his eyes gentler. When their wedding was finally announced, fans cried as if an entire nation had been holding its breath for this couple to find peace. And yet, only 2 weeks after that joy, this revelation, a confession not of scandal, but of courage. In the interview, Shin Min-ah continued, voice growing steadier. "We visited specialists before the wedding," she said. "We talked about what it would mean to bring a child into the world when one of us had gone through something like that. We learned about risks, about hope, about how science can help love continue safely." That was when the public learned that the couple had quietly met with genetic medicine experts at Cha Fertility Center in Gangnam, one of Seoul's most advanced institutions for reproductive health. There, the doctors had guided them through options, ways to ensure their future child would be healthy, free from any possible inherited complications connected to Woo-bin's previous illness. The image was almost cinematic, Shin Min-ah sitting in the clinic's quiet consultation room, her mask pulled slightly below her chin, listening carefully as a doctor explained the procedures. The window behind her framed the city skyline, neon lights flickering beyond the glass. She nodded softly, then looked down at the wedding band on her hand, the new symbol of their second chance at life. A week before that interview, they had traveled to Jeju Island for their honeymoon. Locals later said they were seen walking by the ocean, no bodyguards, no cameras, just two figures holding hands as the waves rolled in. That night, under the vast stars, Woo-bin reportedly asked her, "Do you think I can be a father someday?" She looked at him, the sea breeze lifting strands of her hair, and whispered, "You already are one, in your heart. But if we want to protect our future, I must be brave now." The next morning, they flew back to Seoul, without notifying the press. Min went directly to Cha Medical Center. While Wu Bin waited in the car outside, she met the doctors who specialized in genetic risk prevention, a procedure designed to screen and remove potential hereditary threats before pregnancy. The process was not simple, nor emotionally easy, but she faced it with calm determination. An eyewitness, a nurse from the center, later shared. She was quiet but not afraid. She listened to every word, asked precise questions, and when she left, she bowed to every staff member. There was grace in her sadness. When asked during the broadcast why she chose to reveal something so personal, Shin smiled faintly. "'Cause for so long, people saw us only through the lens of tragedy. But this is love that survived it. And now, we want to begin again. Carefully, truthfully." Across Korea, her words echoed with unusual weight. Fans flooded social media with comments of support, while others struggled to find the right words. Some praised their honesty, others worried it was too soon. But regardless of opinion, everyone agreed on one thing: their love had endured something few could imagine. In the hours following the interview, Wu Bin posted a short note on his personal fan cafe. "We've walked through darkness, and now we see a small light. We want to protect it. And we hope you'll understand that our story is one of faith, not fear." It was signed simply, Wu Bin. That night, as the couple stayed inside their quiet home in Hanam-dong, the city hummed outside, reporters still waiting, cameras flashing from the distance. Inside, the house was calm. A candle flickered on the kitchen table. Shin Min placed her head on his shoulder as he read messages from fans aloud, both laughing softly at the ones that tried to guess the baby's name. The laughter faded into silence, and she whispered, "Or think about the hospital." He nodded. "Every day. But when I do, I see you there. And now, I want to replace that memory with something new." Was the kind of sentence that didn't need a follow-up. Outside, Seoul's winter rain began to fall, gently against the glass. 2 weeks into marriage, and already, they were speaking about life beyond survival, about legacy, about courage, about the quiet kind of love that doesn't seek attention, simply endures. As dawn broke the next morning, reporters snapped photos of Wu Bin driving Shin Min to a clinic appointment. When asked later why they didn't hide, she simply said, "Because we have nothing to hide anymore." In that single line, she redefined what it meant to be a Korean celebrity in love, fragile, honest, and deeply human. Somewhere between the fear of the past and the hope of the future, the world began to understand this was not just a story about two actors. It was a story about survival turned into creation, about how love, when tested by illness, can still dream of life. The public's reaction was instant and overwhelming. Within minutes, couple's confession had flooded every corner of Korean social media. Hashtags like Kim Woo Bin Baby Plan and Shin Min Bravery trended simultaneously on Twitter, Naver, and Instagram. Amid the noise, what resonated most wasn't shock, it was empathy. People remembered his frail figure walking into hospitals years ago, her quiet shadow always one step behind time. Instead of pity, there was admiration. Behind closed doors, however, the journey was far from glamorous. For Shin Min, the days following that revelation were filled with hospital visits, genetic consultations, and difficult emotional choices. The couple met with leading specialists at Severance Hospital, Yonsei University, where the medical team introduced them to a new option, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, PGD. It was a procedure allowing embryos to be tested for specific hereditary conditions before implantation. It wasn't a simple path, it required courage, time, and an acceptance of uncertainty. During a private counseling session, Wu Bin reportedly asked one of the doctors, "Can science really protect what love begins?" The doctor answered, "Sometimes science gives love a second chance." Night, after signing the necessary documents, Wu Bin and Min walked out of the hospital into the winter air. The city lights shimmered in reflections across the Han River. She slipped her arm through his and said softly, "You're brave when you fought for your life. Now it's my turn to be brave for our future." Word of their decision leaked within days. At first, rumors spiraled, wild speculation about infertility, about medical risks, about desperation. Before the gossip could poison the truth, the couple acted. They called for a press conference at Lottie Cinema Seoul, same venue where Wu Bin had once returned to the public eye after recovery. as reporters crowded the hall. Bulbs bursting like fireworks. Woo Bin stood beside his wife and spoke with a calm voice that silenced everyone. "We are not rushing," he said. Clasped before him. "We are preparing, carefully, with love. I was given a second life. And now we wish to give another life the best start possible." It seemed to hang in the air. Heavy and pure. Then, something remarkable happened. One by one, the journalists lowered their cameras and began to applaud. It wasn't for a fame or news, it was for courage. For a brief moment, the entertainment industry's most cynical audience became human again. After the conference, worldwide sent letters, flowers, and thousands of messages filled with encouragement. One read, "You both showed us what love means when everything else falls apart." Another said, "Your story gives hope to those who are afraid of the future." In the weeks that followed, Woo Bin and Min Ah retreated to their quiet home in Hanam-dong. Neighbors said they were often seen walking hand in hand along the narrow streets near the Namsan Tower, faces uncovered, smiling shyly when recognized. Sometimes, they'd stop at a small cafe run by an elderly couple who never asked for photos. There, between sips of warm tea, they found something rare: normalcy. One evening, as the winter snow began to fall, Woo Bin posted a photograph on his fan cafe, two mugs on a table. One engraved with the word hope, the other with tomorrow. The caption simply read, "Healing never ends, but it can begin again." Healing was not just physical recovery, it was the act of dreaming again without fear. For her, it was learning that love could exist beyond caretaking. That partnership meant standing side by side not out of obligation, but choice. A few weeks later, the couple appeared on TVN's You Quiz on the Block. Their first joint appearance since the confession. Studio audience held their breath as they entered, holding hands. Shin Min Ah's smile was bright but fragile. Bin's presence quiet but unshakable. When asked why they decided to share something so intimate, Shin Min Ah looked at the host and said, "Because we didn't want our silence to become a rumor. Wanted our truth to become hope." Woo Bin added, "When I was sick, people prayed for me. Even those who didn't know me. Now, I just want to show that life can continue beautifully after pain. It's not about perfection, it's about faith." The audience stood in applause again, many wiping their eyes. In a world obsessed with image, they had chosen sincerity. Their journey wasn't just personal, it became symbolic. Health organizations began citing their story to raise awareness about genetic counseling and cancer recovery. Young couples started seeking information about preconception screenings. And amid all the noise, Kim Woo Bin and Shin Min Ah quietly changed how Korea talked about illness, love, and family. In early spring, they were seen leaving Busan's Hyundai Beach, where they'd spent a weekend walking barefoot along the sand. Witnesses said they stopped several times, just to watch the waves. Woo Bin carried a small camera, filming the horizon. When someone asked what he was recording, he smiled and said, "Memories we want to keep before our lives get bigger." That phrase, "before our lives get bigger," spread across social media again, sparking another wave of emotional messages. Some fans speculated it meant pregnancy. Others said it was a metaphor for peace. Neither confirmed nor denied anything. They didn't need to. The image of them, two survivors holding hands under a golden sky, was enough. As months passed, attention faded. Scandals replaced old headlines. Yet their story lingered quietly, tucked into the collective memory of a nation that had watched them suffer, heal, and love without spectacle. Final interview that year. Filmed in their home. Shin Min Ah sat by a window, light soft against her face. "We didn't want pity," she said, smiling faintly. "We wanted hope. For every couple fighting illness, every woman afraid of what tomorrow might take her way, this is our story. Love doesn't always cure everything, but it gives you the strength to try." The camera panned to Woo Bin in the kitchen, pouring coffee. He looked over, smiled, said, "And now, we're ready to live, not as survivors, but as dreamers." The screen faded to a quiet scene, the two of them walking through the streets of Hanam-dong at dawn. No words, just soft piano music. The city waking up, and the feeling of two people stepping into the next chapter of life hand in hand. In a world where fame fades fast, Woo Bin and Shin Min Ah reminded everyone that some stories last, not because of glamour, but because of grace. Pain into purpose. illness into intimacy, and silence into strength. Whatever the future holds, whether a baby, a new beginning, or simply more mornings like this one, they've already given the world something precious, proof that love, when it refuses to surrender, becomes its own kind of miracle.